What is up, you guys? Welcome back to my channel. My name is Christine and this is Conscious and Cute. On this channel and on my blog, I love to talk about how to love yourself and feel beautiful while still loving the planet and not ruining it. So if you're into kind of like lifestyle tips that are more sustainable, please subscribe and stay tuned. Let's get into it. Today we're actually doing a book review. So I know I haven't done a book review on my channel yet. I have done one on my blog before, and I'm not planning to become a booktuber. I just want to review some non-fiction books that really fit into the theme of my blog. And today I'm going to talk about happiness, because I really think that ties in with, your self-care, loving yourself, because if you're not loving yourself, then you can't love the planet and everyone around you. So you have to start with yourself. And the book I read and I'm going to talk about today is called Happiness by Design by Paul Dolan. He's a PhD, and I do appreciate a PhD writing a book for us regular folks, because a PhD usually has that clear voice of writing. He really knows how to convey a point. He usually writes scientific papers, and in this book that's really clear. Like, he's just not telling you his tips on how he makes himself happier. He's actually basing it on the science and on the research. He also includes charts in his book. Let me get an example in here. Let me get a good one. So for example, he has charts like these all throughout the book to really convey his point that what he's saying is based on research. And it's not that it's like a difficult scientific book, not at all. The research is more like an anecdotal part of the book. So he will tell you something that he does in his own life to make himself happy, but he has based that on his years of research. So the book is actually broken up into two big parts. Let me just see what they're called. So there's developing happiness and then delivering happiness. So the developing happiness part kind of focuses more on the research. He talks about what happiness is, how you can decide that you're happy, what factors have an impact on that, what we already know about happiness, what is the research that has been done, and what are things that we don't know yet. He also looks at what causes happiness, what are the things in our environment, in our body, in our behavior that really cause that happiness. And then in the second part, the delivering happiness, he goes more into his own ideas on how to create that happiness for yourself, because we obviously can't change many things about our environment. If you say that you're unhappy where you live, or with the people around you, or with your family, or with your job, but you can't get another job, those are all things that you can't change. But he actually talks about the things you can change, the things that are in your ability to change. So it's not just the way you're thinking. He also talks about kind of ways you can change your day to be more happy, or patterns you can change in your life, which is what we're gonna get into now, the juicy stuff, why I really wanted to review this book on my channel. I have a lot of notes on this. So the first kind of big topic that I want to touch on is the fact that there's pleasure and there's purpose, and those two kind of work hand in hand to give yourself happiness, which is something I kind of needed to realize, because I had been struggling with what kind of job I wanted to do and with feeling happy in a job, because sometimes I enjoy a job but it doesn't give me purpose, and I feel like I really have to find a job that can give me that sense of purpose, like I'm doing something for the society, but also the pleasure that you want, because you don't want to be in your job 8 hours a day just feeling miserable. And pulling those two apart and realizing that they create your happiness, that's actually really interesting. So for example, people say that they love being a parent. Well, they love being parents because, for one, children are the future, so they're gonna give you purpose. You really get a lot of purpose from raising a tiny little baby to a full-grown human and seeing them grow. but they also give you pleasure, because if they wouldn't give you pleasure, then everyone would kind of hate being parents in the end. You know, they give you those fun little moments, those nice Sunday mornings. They do stupid stuff that make you laugh, and that's why a lot of people find being a parent so fulfilling, because it's a nice balance between the purpose and the pleasure. And I think that's something you really need to keep in the back of your head when making any decision in life, because you want a partner that gives you that balance. You want a job that gives you that balance. Maybe you even want a hobby that gives you that balance. That's what I do with YouTube. It gives me purpose because I'm teaching people something or I'm entertaining them, but it also gives me pleasure because I really love, you know, audio visual. I love I love talking, let's be real. But yeah, that's I think why I love YouTube and my blog so much, because it's that great, you know, purpose pleasure combination. At the end of the first chapter, where he talks mostly about the research and what causes happiness, what things in our environment cause happiness, he also talks about why people in good situations aren't happy, because that's something that's been talked about a lot. Like, everyone could be happy, it's proven, kind of, because the people that are in shitty situations don't always feel shitty, and the people that have it all often feel really bad. So you can kind of bring it back to the fact that we have a say in why we are or how we are happy. One of the reasons he says we aren't happy is because we have mistaken desires and mistaken goals in life. We are following goals that aren't ours, and if you're following a goal that's not yours, you're not going to be happy when you reach that goal. You really have to think, you know, what is my goal? What is the thing I want to achieve in life? And then when you achieve it, you can actually be happy. And this is something I have to work on, because often I'm doing things because everyone is doing them, and even though I've gone against the grain before, I still feel that I could do more of what I want, you know? If you're talking about, you know, the mistaken beliefs and the mistaken goals in your life, I think we can all find something in our life that we're doing because we've kind of been told we want it. A lot of people go to college because that's just what you do. A lot of people get pregnant because that's just what you do. A lot of people get a car because that's what follows after getting a job, and maybe they didn't even want a car. So that's something that I would just recommend everyone to really evaluate their life and check to see if your goals are your own goals and your beliefs are your own beliefs. And that's not easy. That's not gonna happen overnight. That's something, I mean, I've been working on this for years, and I still feel like I have such a long way to go to make my own beliefs. I'm not gonna go into all of the reasons why we're not happy, because I do recommend you read this book. After going into the reasons why we're not happy, he starts part 2, the delivering happiness part, and he kind of tells us how we can achieve that happiness if we're not already. The author of this book kind of states, I don't know if he said it literally or not, I don't remember, but he kind of assumes that the person reading this book is in a situation, in an environment where he has the opportunity to be happy. So we're kind of assuming that the person reading this is not a slave, or is not someone in extreme poverty, or is not someone that is terminal and can barely get out of bed. We're assuming some kind of basic happiness to work on, and I think that's important to know, because a lot of these books just kind of say everyone can be happy, everyone can achieve all of their dreams, and that's just not true. And I think the author kind of knows that this book is made for those people that have it all and aren't happy. So it's especially, you know, a lot of people in those corporate jobs, busy families, busy work days, this is the book for them. This is not for people that really have some big changes to make in their life. If you know you're not happy because of your relationship, yeah, well, this book is not gonna solve it. So I think that's important to mention before I get into the strategies in this book. So the 3 kind of main principles he talks about in the second part are deciding your happiness, designing your happiness, and doing happiness. I think it's kind of funny that he starts off with deciding, because I've heard this before, is that you can't be happy unless you decide to be happy. And I think that's true, you know, you need to be in the right headspace to want to be happy. and he kind of talks about the feedback you give to yourself, that you really have to listen to what your body and your mind are telling you, but you also have to listen to what others are telling you. I think we can all take a lesson from that, you know, listening to others a little bit more, but also listening to ourselves a bit more. He also talks about not trying too hard, because a lot of people these days, they're just really giving it their all in the self-care and the self-improvement, and maybe that's like, oh, because actually my dietitian quoted something that's kind of similar to this, is if you're trying to achieve a healthy diet and it's giving you anxiety, is it really a healthy diet? And I think that kind of works for this as well. If you're focusing so hard on your happiness that it makes you unhappy, then you're doing something wrong. So I think that's an important takeaway from that chapter. And then the designing happiness, it's kind of, I don't know if it's a long part, it's like 20 something pages, but it's actually a really interesting part of the book. So this talks, I don't know if what I'm gonna say now is all in this one chapter, but it's in this part. So he talks about nudging and priming, which are two, I think, psychological terms that are used in a lot of situations. It's used in psychotherapy, it's used in marketing, yeah, it's used in a lot of different, I think you even do some of these things without really noticing. So the concepts of nudging and priming are kind of putting yourself in a psychological environment where you're gonna help yourself to the result you want to achieve. The best example of this is what's usually used in any book is, if you want to work out, have your environment be workout friendly. So put your yoga mat next to your bed, grab your workout clothes in the evening, have a bottle of water on your nightstand, all things like that, because if those are already happening, then you're gonna get up in the morning and you're gonna be like, oh yeah, I'm gonna work out, this is fine, this is great. Whereas if you get up at 6 a.m. and you have to do all of that stuff, you're just gonna be like, I don't want to do it. So that's kind of how that psychological nudging and priming works. He talks about all of the different kind of ways nudging and priming is used on you, but he's insinuating that you have to do it on yourself. So the workout example is kind of what he's talking about. He's saying that you need to decide what you want, and then you need to decide how you're gonna achieve it. So the working out is the best example, but there's so many other examples. So yeah, the nudging and the priming, it all comes down to what do you want to achieve, how do you want to achieve it, and then making your environment as easy as it can be to achieve that, and then you can be happy with what you did. He talks about something called the meta placebo, and you all know what a placebo is. It's, you know, a pill you take that doesn't really do anything, but you don't know, so it does the thing you need it to do. And it's the same with these conscious decisions you're making. So you're making a conscious decision to be happy. It's unconsciously helping you, and then it has the wanted effect. So it's kind of weird to think about. So in the workout example, you know you need to work out, you just need to make it easy on yourself. And we're always making it hard on ourselves, and you just need to look at your environment and think like, okay, how can I make the things that are making me happy more easy in my life? He also mentions that this effect is not to be confused with the fact that happiness by design, it's not deceiving yourself to be happy. You can't deceive yourself to be happy. You need to be actually happy, but you just need to make it easy on yourself, you know? If you're doing things against your own grain, then you're not going to be happy. So it's not about tricking yourself to be happy, it's about tricking yourself to do things that make you happy, if that makes sense. So if your default setting is that thing that it's gonna make you happy, you're gonna be more passive about your life. So you kind of need to go through the motions for the positive things, and then when something comes up that's negative or that's different, you can evaluate that in that moment. But when you're going through your life, and you're going through your life passively, usually for a lot of things, you need to incorporate those things that make you happy in that passive flow. I'm just gonna continue with the gym example because that's what he talked about as well. So if you talk about your default, you're not just talking about the nudging and the priming, but you're also talking about, for example, surrounding yourself with like-minded people, joining groups that are also working out, getting a friend to go to the gym with you, you know, following Facebook groups that talk about sport. Because if you surround yourself with this, then it's going to be so much easier for yourself to do this. And then once you complete the workout, you know you're going to be happy because that's what you wanted to achieve. And he says it all comes down to the habit loop, which is you make a cue for yourself to achieve something that's going to make you happy. Then you try to work that into your routine to make it easy on yourself. And then that gives you a reward to kind of give yourself a cue again and start that loop. So the things that make you happy, the reward, gives you the incentive to do that again, which gets you in the routine, and that starts the loop. And your loop is at life, basically. You want your life to be in the happy loop of routine, basically. Some other kind of takeaways I wrote down from this book are that experiences and impacts last longer than items, and I think that's a really great takeaway that belongs on this channel, because I really believe that an experience can be so gratificating and items just don't do the same thing for you. And I think that's really something that I want to portray on this channel, that you know, you really got to do it for the experiences in life and not necessarily to have a lot of things. Another thing he talks about is not multitasking, which is something we all struggle with, and I definitely still need to work on because I'm a multitasker, I gotta be honest with you. He also says, you know, change what you pay attention to, not what you do. So that kind of brings us back to why a lot of people that are doing things that make them unhappy are actually happy, because they have found a way to take that focus away from that and focus on the things that they love in life. So for example, someone that has a really shitty job that they can't really get out of, they might have a lovely home life, and even though their home life might be a small portion of their day, they choose to focus on those things that make them happy and not their shitty job. And I think that's really cool to see, because I've seen a lot of people in poverty or in very bad situations that really stay happy and that are truly happy. I think it's a lesson we can all take away to focus on the things that make us happy rather than the things that take up a big portion of our life. Because, you know, the things we worry about, we don't always have control over them, and you kind of have to evaluate if it's worth worrying about. Because if you can't change anything, you're gonna have to find a way to accept it and focus more on the positivity in your life, which obviously is easier said than done. And as I said before in this video, these are all things that you just don't change overnight. These are things you work on throughout your whole life. But if you're someone that's kind of stuck in a situation where you're like, man, I kind of have everything and I'm still not happy and I don't know how to change it, I think this is a great place to start. But yeah, I guess what I want to say is read this book. He's a PhD. It's focused on science, but it's not too heavy. It's lighthearted. His own personal opinion is in it as well, so it's not hard science at all. It's a thin book. It's very easy to bring along with you wherever you go. I don't think it was expensive. Let me check. Oh, it was $16, so it's okay. I think you can probably get this as an ebook pretty cheap. So for me, it's a win. It's a good book. And it's probably not the best book about happiness at all, but you know, it's a great place to start. And I have some really nice notes about it that I review every once in a while to see if I'm doing better or not. So yeah, let me know what you thought about this book. Are my thoughts kind of coherent? I feel like I've just been rambling about this book and I maybe needed a little bit more structure in this video, but whatever. Yeah, let me know what you thought, and let me know if you like book reviews at all. Maybe you don't even like it, I don't know. So yeah, give this a thumbs up if you did like it, subscribe if you want to stay in touch, and yeah, I'll see you in my next video. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.